Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Waiting for everybody to come on in. Charles Van Morgan. Hello, hello. Charles Van Morgan. Waiting for everybody to come on in. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Charles Van Morgan. Live. Waiting for everybody to come on in. So we'll give you a minute. We'll give everyone a minute to come on in. So yeah, Charles Van Morgan. Gonna go live in just a second. Thank y'all so very much for being here with us. Charles Van Morgan. We're going to go live here in just a few. Thank y'all so much for coming. Wait just a second to give everybody a chance to log in. And thank you, thank you. So we appreciate you coming with us live. Have a few important things to say. And we're going to go live here in just a second. So yeah, Charles Van Morgan. We're going to go for YouTube live. It is Monday morning on the holiday. So yeah, we got a few people. Charles Van Morgan live. Got a few things to say. Wait until it gets a little daylight. So yeah, thank y'all for coming. There we go. We got a little light on the situation. So yeah, we got 32 people in here, and we're gonna go live. Thank y'all so much for coming on board, and we're going live from my residence here. So yeah, here we go. Charles Van Morgan live. Let's see if we got, turn it around here. There we go. Charles Van Morgan live. Okay, we're gonna talk about people in government power corruption, and we're going to talk about school shootings, how they cause a lot of school shootings. I hope everybody can see me, and we're going to read your comments and talk to you a little bit about school shootings and how the government, law enforcement agencies, this systemic issues in law enforcement that cause horrific crime on the vulnerable, the most vulnerable in society, our little children. And we're going to talk about how people in power, their government corruption causes our little children to get killed, and how the news media, the state-run news media, causes that to take place. So some alarming, truthful things I'm going to talk about. Now, it's not pretty, but it's the truth. And quite frankly, as a society, and I'm not, and you're not either, my followers aren't, because y'all are not part of the problem. We're part of the solution. The resistance is the one that causes all this mass tragedy to little children. We're not the resistance, they're the resistance. You don't have to resist what's rightfully yours. You just have to get it. This country is ours, it don't belong to them. They're resisting, they're trying to take over our land that's ours. So I got me a little cup of coffee. That's great. We've already got 57 people, and an alarming subject. You know, the news media puts the word alarming to a lot of things. They'll say a doorknob is alarming. No, it's not. They've been around for hundreds of years. Doorknobs are used by people to pull a door open. But if you say a doorknob is used by human beings to pull doors open, and the news media, oh, that's alarming. That he said that. No, it's not. It's something very normal. And you know, doorknobs are made for people to open doors. Oh, that's alarming. You can put that in front of anything, and the news media does that. Listen to what they tell you and how they tell you. It's so obvious that they put these big fancy words in front of stuff that mean absolutely nothing. What they're saying is not alarming. And I don't use words like that just blatantly. Just use it to infuriate people and to sensationalism like the news media does. I use words like that when they deal with things that are alarming, with death and tragedy of our little children. It's alarming. So yeah, we got a bunch of people on here. It's alarming when we have our little children get killed, and the news media, state-run media, you know, like in Russia, the state-run media over there is telling everybody, Putin's telling them to tell everybody that it is okay to kill little children in a neighboring nation. It's okay to invade their land. It's okay to resist Ukraine's efforts to maintain a free society. That's what their state-run media is telling them, and a lot of Russians are buying the state-run media. In the United States, it's state-run media, and they're telling you that the reason for these mass shootings is guns. Now, here's one of them signs, as big as houses, that the proxy has paid for in Canada. But the state-run media in the United States, the state-run media in the United States is partly responsible for the mass gun violence at our schools, where we have children go. Just like the state-run media under Putin is putting out Putin's message. The state-run media in the United States of America, and it's done through favors and winks and backroom deals, is responsible partly for our little children getting killed because they put out them a message that they're doing everything they can and it's guns that cause all this mass violence and mass shootings. And no, it's not. Guns are the ones that protect these little children and put these mass shooters down if we don't listen to state-run media in the United States of America. State-run media tells you who to elect and who not to elect by things they do that's blatantly obvious, and some things they do that we don't even know about because they do it in backroom deals. It's a fight for power. Power is as powerful as money. When people are filthy rich, like Mr. Haslam, they can buy everything they want, then they want something else called power. You know, that's something that Satan tempted Jesus with, took him to a high mountain and tempted him with power that he'd give him those nations. You know, that the power is something that can be used evil and wickedly. And that's what the state-run media in the United States does is they use it for their power. And when things go wrong, they don't care about correcting things for you. They care about maintaining their power, and they excuse things. So it's alarming that the state-run media and the people allow these school shootings to take place, and they do because they put the propaganda of the government out that they're doing all they can, and a lot of different propaganda that's aimed at legitimizing themselves and saying it's not the government's fault, when a basic function of the government, what good are you for the government if you can't even protect your citizens? And if you can't even protect the most vulnerable of citizens, you can protect, the government's real good at protecting themselves. They won't protect the most vulnerable, most innocent society, little children. That's alarming. Let me explain to you how they do it. So here's how they don't protect the most vulnerable in society, our little children, but they protect these courthouse judges, don't they? You go in this Baumgardner courthouse and you'll go through the front door or any door in that building. You can't even park under the building in their parking lot because they don't want to somebody to drive in there with a bomb and blow up those dirty judges, some of them. Now let me say this. Not every judge in that courthouse is dirty. Yeah, I said it. Not every one of them's dirty. They're not. They're not. There are a few excellent judges in that courthouse that do the best that they can under the current system that they have to deal with to adjudicate fairly. Not very many, but there are a few. There are a few great judges in the Baumgardner courthouse. And I said that's the truth. I'm not just full of trying to say things that are inflammatory just for public media and attention. No, there are some, not many, but there are some good judges in the Baumgardner courthouse. But I'm not going to name them because that might I put them on the government's hit list probably. But they have to deal with the system, and they have to put up with things I'm sure they know is not right. I bet they don't like the government. But what are they supposed to do? They live in this country and the corrupt system has taken over, just like in Russia. There's some good people in Russia. They have to listen to the state-run media. They don't agree with it. They're not going to try to attack Putin. It wouldn't do them any good. They got families to take care of, and they do the best they can. If they had a fair shot at getting rid of the Putin regime, then they would. We'll wait for cars. Charles Van Morgan, live YouTube, spread, share, and if you can, and we'll continue this topic that I've thought about, and I got an interesting story to tell you all about school shootings, and this deals specifically with the University of Tennessee, but it's still a school, and we have get this, mandatory school attendance. Now that's important, not at University of Tennessee, but these high schools and elementary schools. It's mandatory that they be there. Now that's important. But share this. Charles Van Morgan, live YouTube. the election commission here in Knoxville and the state-run media and the politicians here in Knoxville run around bragging I only got 59 votes in the last election. Yeah, right. And we're going to keep talking about the state-run media and how they are partly responsible for the killing of our innocent children. But let me just say this. You run the numbers through any statistical database, any statistical computer, and you run the numbers, and I went through all the neighbors, and you cannot, statistically, almost impossible for me to get 59 votes when I knocked on 6,000 doors, passed out about 7,000 flyers. My name was already out in the news media, and well, yeah, in a bad light. And also, I can test that. And also the number of forums I went to, the number of people promised me a vote, the numbers of people I had their phone numbers to remind them to vote that responded to me after I got back to them. This is after they told me, we'll vote for you tonight. And they said, I asked them if I could get their phone number where I could call them and remind them to vote. And the number of people that said yes, and I took their number down. And on the day before early voting, I sent them a text, hey, early voting's tomorrow. Let me remind you about your vote. And a lot of them responded, and they said that one of them said that he was voting, and then the next day he responded and said he voted, and he also spread my name all over Knoxville. I'm just explaining how the 59 votes is statistically impossible, almost impossible according to if you run the numbers in the computer, and the number of people that I contacted by phone. And we'll get back to the school shooting thing, but I'm just going to tell you. The reason I'm saying that now is look at the number that's here live, and they're saying I only got 59 votes. So yeah, I got a heck of a lot more than 59 votes. State-run media, yeah. But and the number of forums I went to, the number of people that they didn't want me to need a reminder, but they assured me, and I know you can't believe every one of them, but the number of people, several a day that I talked to personally, which is the number one way to get votes, told me that they were going to vote for me. I had 50 yard signs out, but I only got 59 votes. Look at the statistical numbers. Yard signs get votes, or do they not in my case? And that's just one part of the mathematical equation. Numbers don't lie. Now it's not statistically impossible, but the odds and probability of me only getting 59 votes, and we'll get back to the more important thing, is the school shootings and why the government is responsible for fulfilling their function. But I'm just going to tell you, people are listening to me. 59 people, yeah, right, more than that. But it's statistically almost impossible for me to just get that many votes. And so people are listening, and you all are listening, and I know y'all don't buy it. So thank you all very much. I pray, may God bless y'all. Thank you to all my 59 voters. Your voice was not in vain. It's very powerful. We appreciate it. And it's still going on today. Thank you for all the people that are on here listening, and we'll explain this important phenomenon about how we do our little children most innocent in society. We don't, and my followers don't. Y'all don't. Y'all not responsible for this. The resistance, the people that are saying I only got 59 votes, with the likelihood almost impossible, the people that are standing up against us are the ones responsible for little children getting killed. Yeah, I said that. That's the truth. They go along with the program to allow stuff to happen where we as a society make it mandatory for little children to go to school, makes them partly responsible, not us, makes them. So every one of y'all, every one of my followers, God bless you all. Thank you all so much. You're not responsible for little children getting shot at our mandatory schools. I think if you were in power, if it wasn't for the state-run media, wouldn't happen. And so let me explain to you. And it's a specific story instance that I know personally, at least at one of our public universities, of how it is much more likely that a school shooting take place because of what people in the government did. So we're going to get to that, but I'm just explaining to you. People are listening to me. People are listening to me, and I'm not parking a downtown taxi space because that I'm legally entitled to, because the government, people in the government, won't let me in that interesting political speech, and they already started attacking you by taking your legal parking space away from you. And they haven't taken it away yet, but they've explained to me how they were going to do that if I don't go ahead and cooperate. So yeah, we got, wow. So already, as of in just a second, I have more people in here than I got votes in just a matter of a few minutes. So you believe the state-run media only got 59 votes in an election? I don't buy that. I know y'all don't either. And we're not responsible for these things to happen like they happen in Minnesota. We're not responsible for that. They are, and let me explain to you how. We'll get to that in a personal story. So stay on board, like, share, help the algorithm out, and we appreciate every one of y'all. We're going to read some of your comments. I'm going to explain to you about the state-run media and the death of little children and the people in power in the government that are responsible for the death of little children, but we're not. And a little story about that, about how I've personally seen it happen. And I'm not just talking about off the top of my head these things and spreading conspiracy theories, which is what they're going to say. It's not a conspiracy. It's the truth. It's sociology. It's the way they rig things to allow that to happen, to create an environment where it happens all the time. And then they're blaming guns. Guns are the ones that stop these people, can stop them. And they just want to disarm you. They're not going to take all guns away. The government, people in the government are going to have them, aren't they? It's not guns that cause school shootings. It's not. It's the people behind the trigger that pulls it, that aims a gun at little children, pulls the trigger. And it's the government that creates an environment that are supposed to create an environment of safety and do everything they can to protect the most vulnerable. But they create an environment that's deadly to children. This is what the government does. Let's see if I got more viewers than I had votes in just a few minutes in the election that they said I lost very badly, trying to put me down. They're the ones that ought to be put down. Look how bad it was. Look how biased. They were so biased that it's blatantly obvious. That's how they are sometimes. The government is so biased that it's so blatantly obvious. Let's see. Okay, we're getting close. We have got got a lot of viewers on here. So, but here's how the state-run media and the people in power cause the death of our little innocent children. Now, you go in the store, you go to any courthouse, and they've got those judges guarded to the nth degree. You get patted down. There are more than one. There are several officers, and even not just police, not just armed police, law enforcement, sworn law enforcement, that are sworn, they're chosen law enforcement by people like Lyon Lloyd Russell, who is a member of the professional responsibility for policemen. Get that? He caused people to get killed on Tennessee roadways by taking the #1 trooper off the street by his lies. And now he's over people that authorize people to keep or deny their law license. So that's one way they have people in power in the government responsible for mass shootings at schools, because the government, people in power, are the ones, the lying ones, that give or take law licenses, police officer licenses, away from good police and give it to their proxies, their people that protect people at their courthouses. They don't want police that protect people at schools. They're not interested in that. They can explain that away by saying it's your guns. that kill little children. Your gun at home that never left the house, or the one if you were at a school, you'd use if you seen somebody shooting at little children, you'd point it at them and you would shoot them. Your gun is responsible and they're going to take it away from you. Just like they had an incident in Tennessee where they had a mass shooting at a military institution, that they didn't allow any guns at that institution. So that was just an open killing field for a mass shooter. So I would think just in that situation, they've changed the law now. More guns, not less, would have stopped that shooting at that military installation. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But the government protects their own. They protect those judges to the nth degree down there at the Baumgardner Courthouse. But they're stupid. They were so stupid here in Knox County that they built a parking garage under a courthouse. Now, how stupid is that? All you have to do is, and they figured this out now, but they spent all that money building a public parking garage under a courthouse. And they wasted money for the public, because now you can't park in that. You can't park in that building. They have figured out that, hey, somebody might drive a bomb in that's undetectable in that courthouse and kill one of our judges and kill us. We're in that courthouse. We run this city by law enforcement and guns. And if we keep doing dirty, people get mad at us, and some people don't have any sense, and don't do that. If you're susceptible, and I promote no violence, you're a thug, a piece of dirt, not worthy to live. If you're contemplating some type of mass shooting or mass bombing, you are not somebody that I agree with. I would never on God's green planet ever do that. And if I find out you're doing that, then I will personally try to stop it and report it. That is sick. People are sick. And if you know anyone, let me just say this, if you know anyone that has mental health issues, or maybe they're not mentally health, they're just evil. They're not mentally ill, they're just evil. Sick people. And they might do something like this because of their actions. Now, don't just report people that are just different. They may be violent, report them. Now, I don't mean people can violate their constitutional rights. They still have rights. Even mentally retarded people, mentally insane people. And there's some mentally handicapped people that are better than regular people. But mentally insane, violent people have constitutional rights. They have a constitutional right to be detected and incarcerated, and if they cause damage, to be executed. But if you know someone, then what law enforcement can do without violating their rights is just watch them the same way they do the president. I went to Secret Service training when I was at the University of Tennessee Police, and they talked about how the Secret Service protects the president. If you make a threat against the president, that in itself is unlawful, to make a threat against the president. And if you do, and they find out that a viable threat, but if you just make a threat, even in a bar room, that you're going to do something to the president, and I wouldn't care, Democrat, Republican president, don't attack our presidents. Vote them out. But if you make a threat against the president, they send the Secret Service, they try to find you, send the Secret Service to your house, knock on your door. And now they want to arrest you unless you got some type of plan or conspiracy already in effect. But while the president's in your city, they literally follow you around. They got every right to do that. They won't stop you and violate your rights unless you do something that shows you intend to take action on it. They literally send officers. And every city, they have a list of people that are a potential threat to the president. And this isn't misinformation, this is the truth. I literally attended Secret Service and to guard Vice President Al Gore when he came to the University of Tennessee. I was within a few inches of him. He, a real politician, big smile, genuinely misguided, good man. He didn't even win the vote of the state of Tennessee, and it wasn't a state-rigged election. But if you threaten the president when he comes to your town, they have a big list of people. We're talking about mass school shootings and how the government allows that. They won't allow you to shoot at the president. It happens anyway. By some presidents are less popular than others, but where people running. But when you make a viable threat or a threat, even a barroom threat, they come to your house, knock on your door, and ask you about it if you won't talk to them. Or even if you do talk to them, They have a list of people in every city that are potential, have made threats toward the president, and ones that are, it's legitimate. Somebody just in a drunken bar and said something and they're outstanding citizens and there's no real threat. They probably won't. They could though, but they got a list of people in every city that the president of the United States comes to now. The administration in office, if he comes to a city, they have Secret Service members follow you around, and they make sure that you're not going to do anything illegal. And if you do, they'll stop you before it happens. So yeah, we got more people in here than I got votes. They'll make sure it doesn't happen. They'll follow you around. And that's not conspiracy. That's the truth. I went to their training. I know. I was on the detail that protected Vice President Al Gore. And I would still protect a president today if I were in law enforcement. I would protect Al Gore as I did. I would protect the president now and the president before. It's not about if you don't agree with the party. It's about agreeing with the United States of America. If you don't agree with the party, then get people together and go vote. But we're talking about school shootings now. Now, at that same University of Tennessee, right down here in Knoxville, they had a police officer. Now, I worked down there in the 90s. And and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about this particular officer. And I'm telling you how the law enforcement systemic issues got him wrongfully terminated, and he was good for school safety and protecting students. But it doesn't matter if you protect students, it matters if you protect the hierarchy, how much you worship them. But and this is Charles Van Morgan, live 6:30 as I promised. So after that now, come on board, share, like, contribute if you can. Keep independent, unbridled news media open. You won't hear this from the regular news. They're not allowed to say this. And they try to stop me from saying it. I already took my parking space away. So we have to do it another way. We'll find a way to get the truth out, get our message out. And thank you all for your standing up for America, standing up for Knoxville, standing up for Tennessee, and fighting against their resistance. And we're going to keep our state, we're going to keep our country, and we're going to keep our city. So I worked there in the 90s. You can look up my picture. They try to criticize me. But you can look up Charles Van Morgan, historic photographs, UT Police. They have me at UT Police. Let me tell you about this briefly. I'm at UT Police. And when I was a police officer there, and I did a great job for them, I got high evaluations. But when I was a UT police officer, we used to go to the fraternities, and people that had open beer cans, Budweiser and stuff like that, there's a non-alcohol policy on the campus. Then we would confiscate their alcohol, keep them sober as possible, and keep the drinking down. Now I had a lieutenant, and I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I followed orders that if they had it in a cup, they let you drink it. And that makes sense because we can't tell if it's alcohol unless we got up close and personal and smelled it, and that's not right. It would violate people's rights. But if they had an open can of beer, then we would take it from them, confiscate it, and we'd take it to the UT Police Department. And some of it probably got drunk by supervisors, but that was back in the 90s. Law enforcement was a little different in the 90s than it is in 2025. You had the Rodney King incident that began the slow change in law enforcement that's become ridiculously lopsided in favor of the resistance who get by with whatever they want, and our protection goes straight to hell. But so look up Charles Van Morgan historic photographs. When we confiscated the alcohol, we would take it to the police department and pour it on a bush. We called it the beer bush. And while me and another officer were pouring out the beer on the bush, and they decided to make that a photo op, and I was just being myself. I thought, how funny is it to be confiscating people's beer as a policeman and pouring it out? That to me is funny, and you can see my big smile. That's my personality. And the other officers are trying to be all professional. It is professional to smile about things that are funny. So you can look up that picture, Charles Van Morgan, historic photograph. It's from 1992, UT Police. But there's another police officer. I left there and eventually went to the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Also got a education while I was at UT Police in sociology. But another police officer, they used to call him, and he told me he didn't want him to mention his name. And he should be proud of himself. I'm proud of him. A very fine officer, and I know he don't want to get blackballed or retaliated against. But okay, we got a bunch of followers, but he was at the University of Tennessee Police Department. They called him the gun magnet because he took more guns off people than any police officer probably in the state of Tennessee. And he worked at a college university. He took more illegal guns off people. And at the university, you know, where they have a likelihood of an adult school shooting, and more guns than anybody at that university, and probably in the state. His nickname was, by the assistant chief of police, they called him a gun magnet. And she brought him in the office, thanked him for it, advised him to take all necessary precautions because he was at a greater risk of being shot and killed because of the number of guns he took off people illegally. And he didn't take off guns off people that weren't illegal. I'm talking about people that had no lawful right to carry a gun, that were dangerous to you, and students at the university. There was one instance where a police officer's trying to make a name for himself, trying to take a gun away from an elderly man that had a right to have a gun, and he was saying he didn't because he pulled him over on Cumberland Avenue, and then he pulled over on one of the University of Tennessee properties. So yeah, we got a bunch of viewers. He pulled over on the, come on in, share, like, contribute, and he pulled in on the University of Tennessee property. And he said that his gun was illegal because he was on UT property, even though where he originally tried to pull him over, where he blue lighted him, where he seized him, was on a city street. And my friend got there and he told the guy, the other officer, you can't take his gun. He's got a legal right to have it. And the guy's, well, he's on UT property. And my friend was like, well, before you stopped him, he wasn't coming over here. He was on Cumberland Avenue. So he didn't take illegal guns off people. He stood against that. He stood for your right to carry guns. He took more guns off people than anybody at the UT campus. The gun magnet, y'all know who I'm talking about. He asked me not to mention his name. He's afraid of state retaliation and being defamed by the state-run media. And he did his job. One of the systemic problems in law enforcement is that it doesn't matter if you do your job. Your job, protecting the public, because your real job is protecting the establishment, to protect their power illegitimately. And I have a degree from the University of Tennessee in sociology. This stuff ain't coming off the top of my head. It's stuff I learned from one of their university science. Social forces at work that control things, and a great social force. One of the most powerful social forces in the world is the government. They tell you what to do unlawfully in the United States. But he was in an incident where at the UT Stadium where a drunk man became resistant, and he used a distraction technique and knocked the man's hat off to distract him so he could arrest him safely without hurting him. Distracted him, knocking his head off, and got him cuffed. And the chief at UT Police then, he's still the chief now. He even got a higher position because the policeman's job wasn't to protect the public, because he protected the public more than anybody. Took more guns off anybody in the UT area, the University of Tennessee area, than any policeman down there. And I wasn't there at the time. I took a lot of guns off people when I was down there too. But he took more guns, called him the gun magnet. I mean, wouldn't you think a policeman that takes illegal guns off a city more than anybody else, where he's assigned to protect, would likely prevent school shootings like that happened in Minnesota? And that the government would say, even if they did something wrong, which he didn't, and maybe we ought to try suspension and counseling or something other than firing the guy that is keeping the community safe. But no, he didn't worship the establishment. He didn't worship the chief. He He didn't, and a new administration come in. Aside from the one that used to call him the gun magnet, he was still the gun magnet, but a new administration come in. That's what happens in these law enforcement agencies. A new administration come in that didn't like him not worshiping the brass, and they fired him because they said he used excessive force because he knocked the hat off a drunk man to distract him, where he wouldn't have to fight him and hurt him. And they lied on him. A bogus investigation from a UT police detective that hadn't been there as long as him, that didn't like him, that didn't take guns off people, but he protected the establishment, and he's still there. And that's a systemic issue in law enforcement that causes these school shootings. They've got officers that could take guns from people, illegal guns, and protect your rights. And these university polices, city polices, state police, they don't fire people. They think they do. People think they do. The state-run media says, yeah, they did this. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, Charles Van Morgan saw a wreck and drove past. That's not true. That's a dirty lie. And flip it around where a drunk, intoxicated person and their family are a hero. In this officer's case, they took his job, and now there's more accessibility to guns on UT campus because they don't have him out patrolling. Same pay, he got the same pay as officers that hide in parking lots and watch movies. He was out patrolling, protecting your gun rights and taking illegal people's guns away from them. And that's one way the system allows, the systemic issue in law enforcement allows people to run around with guns that could have been taken away by good police officers that are fired wrongfully. They're fired wrongfully. Here, look at this little dog here. That is look at that, boy. How'd you like to get a hold of that? Look. Yeah, wow. So what you run into out here? But, so yeah, they took his job from him and lied on him, saying he used excessive force because he used a distraction technique that stopped him from having to use any force, which is totally bogus, absurd. And what they did was, it wouldn't have been as bad, but they took a police officer that was a gun magnet. They called him, and everybody knows what I'm talking about, they called him the gun magnet. They took him away from the University of Tennessee Police Department. So that university is less safe, and I'm not trying to scare people. It's less safe than it would be without him on patrol. And he went on to get another job, but they did him dirty. And they did the public dirty. They did you dirty. So, you know, like in Minnesota, that mass school shooting, the media puts out propaganda that it's okay to get rid of people like me that are out protecting society. And the ones that protect these judges and do what they're told and keep their damn mouth shut, which some of them, you can't blame them. They got kids to feed and a family, but it's a systemic system and people in the power in government. The government is not set up just about protecting people in government power. It's about protecting you, the citizenry. If the government can't protect you, what good are they? Now, obviously, can't protect you. They say school shootings are getting worse. It's because the government's getting worse. The government's getting worse and worse. People in power in the government. Now, government is not a bad thing. Government's a good thing. And I'm going to get off here in just a minute and get to the point. The government is a good thing. Government is a good thing. We have to have government. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Government is a great thing. It should be limited and restricted by the Constitution. And also, we should protect our little children. And that's the thing. These little children, if you think about it, mandatory school attendance. Now, these judges, it's not mandatory they be a judge, but they're protected to the nth degree. At the courthouse, every door you go in, there's police and security. You go into school, you can walk right in the front door. There's one officer now, maybe, and there's no real protection. And we have made it as a society, and we need to change this, mandatory school attendance. So we make it mandatory that they gather at these buildings. They gather at these institutions, these government institutions. We make it mandatory. And some of them have the money to go to private schools. A lot of them don't. And this never happened when I was a child. It's getting worse and worse. Not because society's getting worse and worse. Society's always been evil. but because, and society is getting somewhat worse, but it's because the government, people in government power are getting worse and worse. We make it mandatory for them to be in a facility. You have to go here where you can get killed. We pack them all together. Mandatory, it's the law. You got a mandatory school attendance. There ought to be mandatory protection of us, of school children. Or quit making it mandatory. They get an education. It'd be better for somebody to go out here without knowing math and not having to live a life. Let's put priorities where it's due. Safety and protection is more important than an education, because what good's an education going to do somebody that's dead? It's not going to do any good. So, and the state-run news media backs up what the government says. It says it's more important to guard judges, these rogue judges, at the Baumgartner Courthouse. They got protection. You try to get in there. And they've even shut down that garage where you can't go park underneath there, because they, in their stupidity, they built a garage underneath the courthouse. And now they decided, well, we're not going to let the public park there. We're going to control it. They've even got a big piece of metal that comes up if you try to drive in there without them giving you permission and a code to protect you. So they figured out their stupidity, and now they've wasted all that money where only the government officials, government approved people can park at the city county building, where they put a place where the whole building can be bombed by somebody just driving in a bomb and taking off. And they figured that out. But at schools, they're wide open. They don't spend any money because children don't vote. The news media puts out propaganda that the people in power, they tell you who to vote for. If they don't want to vote for you, they don't post your picture. They put a illegal arrest by the government as a photo, and they get their proxy out to vote, and they lie to people and tell you that you only got 59 votes when it's statistically almost impossible. And the news media backs that up. It's state-run news media. And that's how they literally, almost directly, quite frankly, they directly create an environment that's hazardous to our kids. We need to change that. We need to spend resources and put them into our most vulnerable in society, our little children. And stop spending all our money protecting people in power, because that's what they think the government is for. They think the government is to protect them. No, it's to protect the public. So let's see. Okay, we still got a bunch of people in here. Thank you all so very much. I'm going to get off here. It is Labor Day. There's not a lot of traffic out. We're out. We're going to be out tomorrow morning at about 6:30 again, live, YouTube. Share. Let's get this message out. Let's get the truth out. Unbridled news. You won't hear this from other news channels. They're not allowed to say this. They think I'm not allowed to say it, but I'm going forward with what I've got a right to say. The resistance can resist on. We'll literally stomp the hell out of them. We've got a right to do this, and we'll keep doing it. So don't worry about that. If you want to support independent, unbridled journalism, Charles Van Morgan, then I'll drop the Square link. We're going to go all over the state of Tennessee, hopefully, and do what we can to report illegal activity by people in government power and report on stories. And also, maybe, as on my sign, we might run for governor, because at the same time, we have the lottery ticket, because it's hard to win against state-run media. And to get government power where we can really make a difference. And if we don't, then at least we can meet a lot of people and put pressure on people in government power to stop the resistance against what's rightfully ours, our country, our nation. And thank you all for coming. We'll have another interesting story. This one's about a police officer that was a gun magnet that the University of Tennessee police wrongfully fired. So that university is more vulnerable now than it was with him. I would encourage people to take safety measures to protect yourself, to sign up with the text messages about the warnings for emergency management. You can sign up for that for Knox County and any UT students. Sign up for it and listen to the emergencies that they put out in the UT Police Department, and take heed to those messages. And we still have to use the resources we got, even though they're by the corrupt government. We'll be back out here tomorrow morning with another interesting story. Like, share, contribute, and let's read some of the comments that people have. We appreciate every one of y'all. God bless y'all. We've had a bunch of people in here, maybe not as many as we would had it been a regular day. We'll read some of your comments and respond to them. Let's see what we got here. And feel free to comment. And hang on board. Here's our sign, live now. Our QR codes. And on the other side, look what we're telling them. Fraud election. Statistically impossible for me to get 59 votes almost. And live now. And we're still here is what we're posting. So here, let me set this down just a second, turn around and read some of your comments. So feel free to comment. Feel free to like and share. Join us tomorrow. Let's see what we got here on the comments, if we got any. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, we got John 3:16. Amen. Russell Lancaster. That's right. John 3:16. That's a powerful verse. Constitution needs teeth. Yeah, you got that right. Let me turn it around where you can see me reading it. Yeah, the Constitution needs teeth. It certainly does. And we're putting some teeth in it by freedom of speech. They're violating Fourth Amendment right by letting third party track our every move. Yeah, that's right. You know, the city here in Knoxville has already got a contract. They're going to watch you all over town and record it. Bad enough they're watching you. Now they're recording every step you make. Now, if they do something illegal, then it'll get lost and they won't have the recording. But when you do anything, they have a video recording, and even if it ain't wrong, they'll lie about the video that they do have and put it in a light that's not correct. They lie. And yeah, they're recording us now all over Knoxville. We're being recorded. And keep your cell phone handy, record them. Well, that's all right. They don't like that. And when you turn the video camera off, and then you'll get the real story, what they really want to tell you. But yeah, they record us. Let's see the other comments here. And thank y'all for these great comments. I'm requesting a prayer, and I think you have to pay for it. I was requesting a prayer, and I think you have to pay for it. No, you can request a prayer. Christine Eversole. Amen. I pray in Jesus' name God blesses you, and whatever your situation is, then I'll pray for that. Another channel, okay. But yeah, I pray for you. God bless you. Somebody said hi. Okay, why is it blue? I don't know. These needles and pills are getting me mighty high. Well, that'll kill you. I've told people that before, and now they're dead. What's up, Sam's? And somebody else, hi. It says each and every one should get fired. Yeah, a lot of them. Yes, our tester. I don't know what that means. The government does not allow school shootings. The votes allow school shootings. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, conservatives, Christian Republicans allow school shootings. They're on the wing of my party that voted for a rapist pedo. No, I don't agree with that. That's propaganda. I supported a president while he was in office that I didn't vote for because I support America, and I prayed for him like the Bible says to pray for our leaders, and I prayed for him that he would do well. I didn't vote for him, but I prayed for him because I love America. I prayed for the previous president that was Republican. It was the previous one that was Republican, the previous one that was Democrat. Several Democratic presidents I prayed for, and I pray for the one that's Republican. It's not helpful to spread conspiracy and lies. That doesn't work with me. You're not going to get anywhere. There's no sound basis for that. I mean, if you drive by a rapist or a pedophile, then you're one of them. That's absolutely absurd. The stuff I say is based in fact, and it's not sensational, it's real. Joe Biden wasn't a rapist, a pedophile. And I don't appreciate people insinuating that. And while I didn't vote for him, he did a lot of things good. And I prayed for him that he would do good. Not for him. I hope that he would be fine, just like everybody. But for the country, for the nation, for the United States of America, I'm patriotic. It's not about one man. And it's not about tearing down the reputation of one man. It didn't work. It's not going to work now. It didn't work then. So I don't agree with that station. I don't agree with that comment. And that's inappropriate. I'm not a person that talks about sensationalism. I'm talking about facts, education from the University of Tennessee. So let's see if there's any other comments. God bless y'all. I'll get off here. And thank you all so much for coming. Remember, tomorrow morning, like, share, tell everybody about the video, and contribute. The government creates an environment where we have mass school shootings. State-sponsored media is part of that. I had emergency management training. So may God bless and help Knoxville and protect us from evil in the state of Tennessee, because we have elected politicians that do not have an education, don't know how to protect you, and it is a dangerous circumstance. And we need to band together, seek the truth. And if I run for office, vote for me. Continue listening, support this program. I love every one of y'all. Y'all are great people. And I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose anything in the election. I got to meet a lot of my great neighbors. How can you say that's a loss? I love people. And I loved meeting most of y'all. I'm not going to say every one of y'all. I didn't. Some of y'all are complete total creeps and smart alecks and dumbasses and not good people. But for the most part, Knoxvillians are very genuinely kind people, and I didn't lose anything. I got to meet you all. It was my privilege and honor to meet you all. Hopefully we'll meet some more of y'all in the future. And we're trying to build up this channel to get a voice out for good, for right, for truth, for honesty. And I'm educated. I know what I'm talking about. I have a doctor of jurisprudence. Passed the bar exam twice. The government's got their foot on my neck. They won't let me get up, but I'm knocking it off. They're not going to ruin me. I'm not going to let them. I'll pray about it and take action. I have a Master of Arts in Sociology with an emphasis in criminology from this great University of Tennessee. So I know what I'm talking about. It's not bogus conspiracy theorist stuff that people are spreading. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business, Human Resource Management, also associate degree in Business Administration. I was a police officer for almost 20 years. Don't hold that against me. I'm not a police officer now. I don't enforce the law. That's not my job, not my place, and I'm not going to. I'll protect somebody if they're immediate harm in my presence, but I'm not a law enforcement officer now, and I'm not going to be. It's not my job. I don't get paid for it, and I'm not doing it. So don't worry about that. I used to be a police officer. I'm not now. And my eyes changed when I got an education and saw science, how things really are, and then also how the people in government power did me. So I'm not part of the government. I'm part of you, the people, power to the people movement. We'll start this, and we've already started it about 5 years now, this social movement. And we've got a voice, we got a message, and we've got power. It's powered by you, people power. And you know, there's only if you take away the voters that are on the list that they say they're registered voters that have already left Knoxville, you take away 1,000 voters. There was only about 11% of the people that could have voted in South Knoxville that voted. So overwhelmingly, if people vote, the people that are already registered, if they vote, overwhelmingly, there's only 11% that they had to beat. It's not that hard. If you're registered to vote, go vote, and we can beat these people easily. 11%, we got 89% of people that can overturn these people. If you take the percent away that are still on their side that didn't vote, that's still overwhelmingly. There's more of us. We're more powerful if we get up and vote. And then also, I'm not even talking about the people that could vote that aren't registered. If you get fired up and get tired of these school shootings and want something done about it, register and vote. Get rid of these people that only protect themselves, that only protect the courthouse, don't protect little children. So we got a lot of power, a hell of a lot of power. if we just use it. And it's our responsibility to use it. If you don't vote, I'm telling you, if you don't vote, think about these little children that are getting killed in our schools, where we made laws. It's mandatory they go to school. And if you don't vote and make us, we are the government, make us protect them, then are you part of the problem? I'm just saying, are you part of the problem? Because there's a problem. Now, they blame it on guns. Guns ain't the problem. Guns protect me. I have one. If you try to take my life, I will preemptively strike, and you won't get it done. So we got 70 people on board now. So thank you all so very much. We'll get off here tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. We'll speak about another important topic, depending on what comes up on the news and depending on what y'all want to hear. Leave in the comments what y'all want to talk about. Contribute to the square. Keep this voice going. You know, I might need money if they charge me criminally for saying people in government power are crooked as hell. They don't protect little children. They don't protect the most vulnerable in society. So contribute to keep that message going. Keep that message out there. And contribute to helping us protect our little children. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves. And I'm not ashamed, and all my people on here shouldn't be ashamed of yourself. But the people that are against us ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for the society that you make happen by your votes and your choices, and the government protecting judges instead of the people. So we're going to get off here. Charles Van Morgan, like, share, comment. We're trying to break 10,000 people on here, and we might have done that. I don't know. It's a slow day. There's not a lot of traffic out where I hear on the highways carrying a sign, and we're live, and we appreciate y'all. I'm going to get off here, tune in tomorrow, and remember that I love you, God loves you, and I love you too. And also remember that John 16. That's more important than any political message. Just take that to heart. More important than any political campaign is John 3:16. Take that to heart. I did. It'll change your heart, and that's more important. That goes with you to eternity. This government ain't never going to be perfect. We can make it a little better. So God loves you, and I do too. Until next time, thank you all so very much live here, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning. It's such fun talking to y'all, and we really appreciate it. Like, share, comment, and support your movement. Let's see if we got any last comments. We got some. I'm so happy. Yeah, some public nuisance. Carry more signs. God bless. Good morning from Canada. Biggest ones I've seen. They're huge. Buy a coffin. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You gonna put the nails in it? Hey, go ahead. A lot of people like to see me dead. None of them got it done yet. And will I get to agree with you? I had friends that didn't vote in the last presidential election, and they were complaining, and I said, you vote. They said not. Said I thought, quit complaining. Yeah, right. You're a drain or taxes. Amen. Dolly Parton. How are you? I'm great. Rocky Mountain. Yeah, I'm a Trump 2028. Okay. I need more. Yeah. Boy, there's got a lot of hate coming in. That's all right. Keep the channel going. ICE is coming for you. I was born in the USA. I'm not from, yeah, I was born here. I got a birth certificate. I'm American. Your age is a problem. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Yeah. You hire me. I might. I need a job. Yeah. Then the plumbers will be busy. Yeah, that's what Bill Lee is. You're so old. Really? Yeah, I'm not old. No DEI. Vote for Ben Wilson, 89%. That's, dude's crazy. Love from North Carolina, where we are. Where are you from? Knoxville, Tennessee. 11%. What the? Yeah, all right. I regret now for voting Trump down. People power. Yeah, please beware of spicy food. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about that today. I can't eat the food because, you know, Putin will kill people, and so will they in America too. A smarty pants, laugh out loud. Let's see, Tennessee. Yeah, I'm not. Regularities, what the government does. Just make sure you don't. Yeah, Absolutely. I got a lot of haters in here, don't I? Yeah. Haters wasting their time listening. If I don't like somebody, I don't listen to them. Isn't that funny? Another channel. Okay, yeah, I've read all the comments. So we'll sign off here. Join me tomorrow morning. Let me give you my little I love you sign. and thank you all. God loves you and I do too. Till next time.